From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big day on LALATE, live from Santa Monica with your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over the incredible great news about this incredible recon that will pay you on average about $15,000 across several clusters of checks. And a deal's happening. The breaking news overnight is a deal was reached that the recon will now pass the House of Representatives. Whoa, what happened? I'll explain the latest details. The vote will be happening in the next few days, but it'll be a rubber stamp vote, meaning they already solidified the agreement last night. What happens and what's the price? No one knows. No one has any clue what the price is, but no worry across the board because the recon will be passing in the House and heading over to the Senate, at which time we get out our meat cleavers and start chopping up. Programs in, programs out. I'll go over the incredible great details of all the programs that are passing in the House of Representatives that'll pay you a lot of money across several clusters, and 3 add-ons that are added this week. We'll be turning to student loan debt forgiveness, and more debt could be forgiven across the board. And then the fifth stimulus excitement coming right behind it, as your 5.9% COLA raise is coming in January. And then after that comes fifth stimulus. We got all these incredible great news as I'm live with you with a special live recording on a weekend, direct from Santa Monica, and this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America. And today with a special live broadcast because of all the breaking news. Coming up next is 1 o'clock Afternoons LA. This video will automatically take you there, and a brand new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, and the most talked about, the most comprehensive, and the most in-depth coverage of the subject matter in America. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right into this recon. In this video, let me give you a roadmap of what's going to be covered because it's a big video. We're going to first go over the programs in general and what they are giving you in these programs, these checks. And then after the commercial break, I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over what happened last night and what is going to happen in that House vote that is going to be just basically a rubber stamp. Then we're going to look forward to what's happening with the Senate next. And then we're going to go over all the details of the eligibility for each of these provisions. So get that pen and paper ready. Let's go over the details starting right now. Several weeks ago, a House subcommittee passed the recon and put into several clusters different types of checks. Now those clusters have survived negotiations and are set to finalize in the House. Those clusters of checks collectively will pay you on average, as a viewer of this channel, about $15,000 across all these different clusters of checks. What are they and what are those clusters of checks? Remember, this is great news because if you've been with this channel from third stimulus in spring of this year, when third stimulus became law, I told you I can get you about $15,000 from third stimulus. I was able to get viewers on average from third stimulus about $45,000. All the provisions from third stimulus are returning under fourth stimulus with new other checks on top of that. Let's go over the 3 clusters. And what you're going to see right now is what is in the House bill and will be passed by the House and going over to Senate. When I say upfront or cold hard cash, it means it's literally a check in your hand. When I say back end, it means it's a check after you do something. Let's go to cluster number 1. Here we go. In cluster number 1, hazard pay got in there and surviving one more year of that earned income tax credit. This is a back-end check. Then $4,000 of elder care, that got in there, and that is also a back-end check. And $4,000 for caring for young children. They got money in there for repairs of the home in a low-income community. This is a front end, a hard, cold cash check. I always butcher that line. Then they got hard, cold cash checks for my college students, $550 in your hand for those Pell Grant recipients. Then they're doing the CTC for one more year, the child tax credit. This, of course, is a hard, cold cash check, $3,600 or $3,000 based upon the age of the child if you're a low-income family. And then finally, they got a back-end check, a lot more than we even thought was going to happen. It's currently $7,500, but it's going to be $12,500 For the purchase price of a new electric vehicle, U.S. auto manufactured, a little bit more if it's for business use, and then also for a bike, it's 15%. There you go. That is the first cluster. Everything survived into the House bill that was passed in the subcommittee with provisions going higher. Let's go to the first add-on, and you've heard the breaking news on this channel. It got in there. Not at this price point, but yes, it's in there. It's hard, cold cash for the purchase price of your first home. Whoa. So when you go to buy that home and you're in the escrow about to close, the federal government will pay money on your behalf to the seller. Maxine Waters got this in there, the wonderful legislator from Los Angeles. She wanted $25,000. It's likely not $25,000. I don't know the number yet, but it's in there. And I've seen some great comments from like Ryan this morning saying, is it a mobile home? Is it a brick and mortar? Lynn Glenn with questions. If you have questions, make notes, send them me on DM. I'm going to go over more about the eligibility throughout this video. Stay with me. I'm coming back to this later in this video. The eligibility on this and other provisions. Let's go to the second cluster of checks. And these are wonderful. What got in there? Weatherize your home. This is hard cold cash. Then paid leave and medical leave, hard cold cash. Then they got in there pre-kindergarten, hard cold cash, community college out. And then tax benefits for household tax credits. That's back-end checks. All right, let's go over some of these broadly. I'm going to go over them more later in this video. Stay with me. The paid leave and medical leave. There's a lot of money. It's thousands of dollars, and this is front end. This is hard cold cash. They got in there the weatherize your home. Definitely need that. This is a front end check. If Joe Manchin pulls up in that driveway with that really awful color Maserati he drives, you need to weatherize the driveway. I mean, at least buy a red one, for God's sakes. Pre-kindergarten got in there. That is hard cold cash checks. And then and there you go. That is the second cluster. The second add-on got in there as well. This is potentially not a check directly to you, but rather a covered benefit. And what is it? $250 billion was proposed from Bob Casey and Joe Biden for home health care. They got it in there just a little bit less. What is it? Free home health care, covered benefit if you're on Medicare and you're a senior and you're a person on disability. Totally free. They got it in there. More about that later in this video. And let's go to the third cluster of checks. It's deliciousness. Here we go. Third cluster of checks. Free school meals for all. This is a hard cold cash check. $65 when the student is not in school per month per kid. Cheaper prescription medication. This is a benefit. Coming up later in this video, I'll explain it. Immigration reform. They got it in there. It's not a check. I'll have more about that later. Then the farmers. I don't know if it's still in there. The free internet. I don't know if it's still in there. Clean energy out. Workers protection. The workers checks. I don't know. And then the Medicare expansion. Okay, so there's a lot there with that Medicare expansion. I got a lot about that coming up later in this video, but let me explain broadly what it is. It is the expanding it to the swing states that weren't covering it. It's now in there. Dropping the eligibility age, not believed in there. The vision and dental believed going in there on the Senate, but not in there on the House. And the hearing is in there so far on the House. There you go. So let's go to the third add-on, and that is that monthly IRS stimulus check. Not going to be added on the House side because the House is done. And you can see in the second half of this video why the House is done. So it's the Senate side. The Casey, the Coons, the Warren, Sanders, Schumer, and Wyden senators who have represented the viewers over the last few weeks, they would add it on the Senate side. What's important to understand is how the situation sort of evolved, is that the senators negotiated over the last 2 weeks. The senators are leading the ball, and the senators are saying, I got a lot to do still. I got a lot missing. Major gaps. You can see the quotes later in this video. 2 opportunities abound. 1, the vote-a-rama. 2, the Senate subcommittee. Let's analyze both of them. The chairman of the budget committee on the Senate side is Bernie Sanders. And when the bill lands from the House to the Senate, will he send it to subcommittee with so many things missing that have to be done? You want to hope he does, because that would give a lot of opportunity to add things across the board. The second one is the vote-a-rama. What is it? It's a 2-day event at the very end where they call changes to the bill. And those 2-day vote-a-ramas are amendments. It's a very quick process. And the vote-a-rama historically has done a lot of big things for a lot of people that House members never took care of. For example, in third stimulus in the spring, Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren saw an issue. The issue was, if student loan debt is forgiven for you, let's say it's $30,000, you have to immediately pay out of your pocket $15,000 to IRS. You don't have $15,000. So they had to make the student loan debt tax forgiven. And they put it in during the vote-a-rama. House members never even talked about it. It's not like they had a version of it, the House members. They never even talked about it. Senators put it in there. It's law. And they did it by vote-a-rama. That is why it's important to advocate. MSC, pick up the phone. It's the weekend. You can leave messages. As Jennifer in the live chat this morning said, have you made the phone call yet? Make those phone calls. Remember, make that list for yourself. Not calling just one office, as many as you can to advocate. Not ask, advocate. Coons, Casey, Warren, Schumer, Sanders, Wyden, and Warren. And let's read that incredible message from the chief of staff of the number one legislator for this recon. They now have in total between congressional senators' offices received more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures of the American petition. We're over 3 million at the moment. Now they have a better understanding of what people are going through because of the pandemic, and everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories from the LA viewers. They have heartbreaking stories from LA viewers, and they had the voice of the people across the nation in you, LA, as you have become too loud to be ignored. Very, very kind. Let's read the last sentence on air together because it concerns both of us. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you have become, LA, and continue this until it becomes law. Very, very kind. Need to advocate until we're over the finish line. The great news is we have a wonderful recon that can be made even better, as Bernie says. And the second half of this video, we'll be going over the dramatics of last night. Confused? It's easy to be. It was a very confusing night. But the great news is that we're going to be done with the House because there was a deal hatched last night that the vote coming in a few days is just a rubber stamp vote. When is the vote? How is it going to work? I have all the details in the second half of this video. The price is right? No. No one knows the price. And yet even though they don't know what the price is, it doesn't concern them. What? Confusing it is. I'll explain later in this video. Then we'll be turning to the programs in, programs out. Get that pen and paper ready. As a Purple Hawk, you should be ready to pounce as soon as it becomes law. So start to learn on what these programs in because they are going to be passed by the House. Student loan debt forgiveness, we're going to go over a little bit about that as well. And then with time allowing, we'll zoom through fifth stimulus and my commentary as well. It's a big, bold, beautiful noontime. I'm excited you're here. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds with all the details about what happened last night and everything that's going to happen next. See you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on noontime, live from Santa Monica on a special live edition today with a deal reached last night on the recon. We are done for purpose of the House. How is this? I'll explain the details. When is the vote? I'll explain that as well. It won't be a vote on substance, it will be a rubber stamp vote. What's the price tag? They have no idea. What do you mean they have no idea? I'll explain why. Programs in, programs out. We'll go over the programs that are in and will be finalized by the House, but that could be added more to by the senators. And student loan debt forgiveness, and we'll be going over more to that student loan debt forgiveness and what student debt could be forgiven. And then we'll be turning over to fifth stimulus. We have a big second half of this recording. I'm excited you're here. And I'm excited if you got that pen and paper ready to start taking notes, because there's a lot of checks in this recon for you to get as a Purple Hawk. And with that, subscribe if you have not, and become part of this family. Like this video and become a member. Coming up next is the 1 o'clock afternoon show. Then a big, bold, beautiful new afternoon show at 3 o'clock, and then evenings at 5. And boy, what a 24 hours it is. I have all the details on it starting right now. If you're a little confused about what happened last night, it's easy. Even the most advanced viewer would be confused by what happened last night. So let me explain it to you by stepping it back a notch and doing the basics first. There are two bodies of legislation they're trying to deal with. One is called Roads and Bridges, or AKA infrastructure. The other one is RECON, AKA the spending bill. Your money is in the RECON, the spending bill. If this was not confusing enough, the president refers to the two programs of the same name. He calls them both the Big Build Back Better Programs Act, Programs Initiative. Yeah, just ignore that word, because that word is very confusing. There was a lot of promises going into last night, and a lot of representations, a lot of statements. This would go before that, and this would go before this, and that would go before that. What happened last night? Last night, Nancy Pelosi showed what she's best at and very good at. She's very good at getting deals done among differing groups of the Democrats. The RECON, remember, does not need a single Republican vote. It is all Democratic votes. So what does she have to do? She has to make sure that all Democrats agree. And they weren't. We had the following situation. The progressives, led by Jalopal, said that we are not going to vote in favor of the roads and bridges if you do not make sure you're going to pass the RECON. We had the moderate Democrats, led by Gothenheimer, saying merely the opposite for the RECON, saying we're not going to vote in favor of the RECON if you block our roads and bridges. What was Nancy to do? She came up with a brilliant plan that everyone agreed to. She said, you know what? What is the issue at hand? The issue at hand is that the moderate Democrats like the RECON, but are waiting to see an economic report, a numbers report, a money report. What is the report called? The Congressional Budget Office report. What is the Congressional Budget Office? It's a nonpartisan organization and looks at proposed bills and say, this is going to be $10 and it's going to cost the country $8. That is what that organization does. We've been talking about this on this channel since earlier this week, so we've been talking about it for a few days. I do not know if they requested it earlier this week. I think they did. And so these moderate Democrats said, I want to see the report before voting. The progressives said, you know, it sounds like you want to vote against as soon as you get the report. They said no. So this was the deal they did last night. And it may sound strange, but it's a great deal. The deal was the moderate Democrats signed a piece of paper and voted on the piece of paper in person, face to face, to Jalopal, eye to eye, and said, we will vote in favor of your RECON and pass it after we get the Congressional Budget Office report no later than the week of November 15th. I know that's a lot of that sentence. Let's slow it down. Let's go back. They, moderate Democrats, will vote in favor of the RECON. Okay. Why? When? What do they need? They need to see the Congressional Budget Office report. Oh, okay. And so when they see it, then what? Are they going to change their mind? No. They voted last night, and they wrote in writing and signed that they will vote in favor of the RECON no matter how good or bad the Congressional Budget Office report is. Oh, that makes total sense. Yeah, it makes no sense, of course. But that was a great agreement, because basically all they're doing is saying, once that report is done, we're voting in favor of RECON, and we're done. Why do I think they're doing this? They're just trying to set it up for the Senate. Just send it over to the Senate and say, let them deal with the Congressional Budget Report. If it's bad, the Senate will take care of the issue. Great for us. So then what does that mean? It means that when they call the vote for the recon, it will be a rubber stamp. There will not be a question whether it's passed. It is in essence passed as of last night. They're just waiting for that report and then rubber stamp. So what date is the vote? Again, let's go over that phrasing. No later than the week of November 15th. So that does not mean it's on November 15th. And it doesn't mean it's definitely the week of November 15th. It's no later than the week of November 15th. Can be sooner. It sure can. How long does it take a congressional budget report to be done? I don't know. I think it can take about a week, if I recall correctly, but I'm not positive. It questions on when they ordered it. I've been talking about this for about 4 or 5 days now. So if they ordered it last Tuesday, it could potentially be ready this coming week. And what's my message to you? My message to you is Nancy loves Thursday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for voting. You know it. You've seen it over the last 3 months. So take a nap for Thursday because you never know if she's calling her the vote on the recon this Thursday at 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. Just order in some extra $12 ice cream. No, actually, don't do that. Go to San Francisco Hairstyles. No, don't do that. So there you go. That was the statement. If you want to hear the quote, you saw it last night if you're a member of this channel or you're an LALATE subscriber. I sent out that statement as soon as it happens to all the viewers of this channel at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are committed to voting in favor of the recon in its current form, bar any technical changes, as expeditiously when we receive the Congressional Budget Office report, but no later than the week of November 15th. There you go. Done. Very, very fascinating across the board. What was the reaction across the situation? Well, the reaction was that this was really good. I was really surprised that Pelosi was able to pull this off in the manner in which she did. And here we go. So what is the price tag of the recon? No one knows. No one knows. And ironically, not going to be a problem for the House. They're going to leave the problem for the Senate. The recon deal has been hatched for the House, and for purposes of this channel, the House will be approving it sometime between now and November 15th, but as early as next week. The vote will happen. It'll be a rubber stamp vote. It will be done for purposes of the House, and then it goes off to the Senate. The price tag? No idea. The recon was 1.75 when it did not have 3 programs in. 3 programs that I predicted this week would go in, got in. And one of them is $200 billion paid leave. So you know you're at least 1.95. So it's clearly not 1.75. Moreover, a joint taxation report commission issued this week by Pelosi showed that the recon is only paid for 1.45. So it means $500 billion of the recon is not paid for. So a lot of big questions. Not a problem for the House. They're not leaving that problems for themselves. They're sending it over to the Senate. All right, so programs in, programs out. Let's go over all the details of this one at a time. And we're going to start with the 3 programs which I told you would go in this week, and all 3 went in there. Again, if I say hard cold cash checks, it means it's in your hand. And if I say back end check, it means it comes right behind it. What's important to understand is that when third stimulus became a law, I said from third stimulus, I can get you about $15,000. Fourth stimulus will have all those same programs repeated again, meaning you can get the money again, and then more checks. So if you've done very well with this channel from third stimulus, you're going to do really well from fourth stimulus. The only person I cannot get money from fourth stimulus for you is if someone who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars as a single individual. There's no money for you under this recon if you make big sums of money annually. All right, let's turn to this paid leave and family leave. How much is it? It's a lot of money. It's hard cold cash, and it's upwards of thousands of dollars. Let's go over the calculations. First, what is family leave and paid leave? It is you have to stay home because of the birth of a child, or you have to stay home because of household illness of household members or yourself. Because of COVID? No, any reason. Look back on the last year. Did you have to stay home because your son had the flu? Did you have to stay home because you had to take your wife to the dentist for a dental procedure? Did you have to stay home because you broke your leg over the weekend playing pickup basketball with your friends? All covered. All covered. A lot of money. And how much is it? A fortune. Let's go over the calculations. And the third stimulus was supposed to be $1,700 a week for individuals who make $80,000, $70,000 or more per year. cut it in half. $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week. Cut it in half. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. How many weeks then? Under this program, it is 4 weeks. Whoa. Yeah, 4 times $1,700, that's $6,000. 4 times is $400, that's $1,600. It's a lot of money. Who's eligible? You are. The eligibility is absolutely insane. It's every worker in America. They got it to the broadest eligibility they can get it. All income levels, all types of workers, W-2 or 1099. So Uber, Lyft driver, you're covered. Department store, W-2 employee, you're covered. It's incredible. It's an upfront check, and it's real hard cold cash. It's in that recon, and there you go. Let's go over some of the other provisions of the incredible recon, and let's go over some of them starting right now. I have a lot of different programs throughout the remainder of this video. Stay with me. Get that pen paper out. As a Purple Hawk, you want to learn this information because as soon as it becomes law, a lot of it's first come, first serve, and some of it is as time goes on. All right, we just went over paid leave. Then the hearing care, hearing aid. I don't know if this is a check or a covered benefit, likely a covered benefit. SALT was the second of 3 programs I said was going to get in this week. It got in there. Came from Gothenheimer. Viewer, yes, this morning said, can you explain SALT again a little slower? I will. It's very confusing. Let me make it very, very simple. You file 2 tax returns, your state and your federal. When you go to file your state, you pay a certain amount of state taxes to the states that you live in. Then when you go to pay your federal IRS tax return, you can deduct how much of state taxes you paid, only up to $10,000 under the Trump 2017 tax regulation code. SALT wants to lift that up, and it got it done. So now you can deduct on your federal IRS tax return up to $72,500 of what you pay in state and local taxes in that year. And this is huge in states like California, New York, New Jersey, and other states where you pay a lot in state taxes. Now you can deduct it, and this is great. Then they got in there $40 billion for job training. So if you want to learn a new job skill set, totally free. I always have a lot of viewers say, I want to learn that, and now it'll be covered, totally free. Here comes the Medicare gap fix. This is big, and it is a little complicated, so let me slow this one down as well. Obamacare became law of the land, and then they want to expand Obamacare across all 50 states. 12 states called the holdout states, where the governors, a Republican, did not want to pay for the Obamacare, but still offered it to its citizens for free. So there was a problem. How to solve the problem? Raphael Warnock from Georgia and also Claiborne from the Carolinas came up the workaround. Here's the solution. If you're in a Republican governor state that does not want to pay for Obamacare, now the federal government will offer you subsidized private insurance at a cheap price for low-income people. Wow, incredible great news. All right, immigration reform got in there. What is immigration reform? Well, it's not immigration reform. It's not a check. There's no checks for there. People have been asking me about this, so let me explain what's going on. During the Trump administration, people at the borders, families were separated from parents and children. There were several thousands that were separated. Later on, over the time that passed, about 800 to 900 lawsuits were filed by the ACLU against the U.S. government for that occurrence. 800 to 900. That's it. Not thousands. Those lawsuits have now progressed, and those attorneys are seeking $400,000 settlements per family. That's about 800 people times 400,000. The federal government has said no, they're not paying $400,000. In fact, Joe Biden says, I'm settling, but I'm not paying $400,000 a person. Absolutely out of question. So what has Fox News said? They have said that the RECON or the Roads and Bridges has money for immigrants in there for the border. Untrue. This settlement has nothing to do with these 2 bills. It has nothing to do with these 2 bills. Number 2, there is no $400,000 checks. The president said, I'm never settling for $400,000. And it's 800 people and their lawsuits. It has nothing to do with your 2 bills. So totally untrue, fake news. Fake news. Then here comes some hard cold cash checks. $150 billion for home programs. We got our rent, our utility, and our mortgage assistance for another round. So if you've gotten 1 or 2 or 3 rounds for this under third stimulus, you can get another round. If you've been with this channel since last year, there's always been someone that says, I don't qualify because I'm not behind on my bills. That's not how it works. There are 6 places to reach out to covered in this channel. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, State House Authority. Each has different eligibility about how they want to do it. And they don't all say you have to be behind on your bills. It's different eligibility everywhere. And if you really look out to 6 places and they say no, which has really never ever happened, then you want to lean on the nonprofits because they do not have that eligibility. So if you've gotten 1, 2, or 3 rounds of rent or utility or mortgage assistance under this channel from third stimulus or second stimulus, get ready because they're doing it again under fourth stimulus. Hard, cold cash. And then they're adding more checks. What are they? Home repairs, weatherizing your home, and then the purchase price of your first home. So Ryan in the morning's countdown show and Lynn Glenn have been asking questions. Some of the questions that I've been seeing is, does it have to be a house? Does it have to be a freestanding house? Can it be a modular home? Can it be a trailer in a trailer park? I don't know. As soon as it becomes law, we're going to look at it. It seems to make sense if it's a home and it's your first home, then it will qualify. So yes, this is what I do. This is my purpose here. Send those type of questions. I love those questions. As soon as we see the law, we're going to go through it and analyze it. No time to do it right now because the House legislation can get modified by the Senate. But those are the type of questions. Continue to send me those on private message and I'll feature them on air. Remember, not law yet, but I want you to know what it is. So as a Purple Hawk, you pounce as soon as it becomes law. All right, then we got $150 billion for in-home health care for my seniors and disability people. A check, not likely. This is likely a covered benefit where it's just free for you. Okay, here comes a check. A $550 check to my college students who are on the Pell Grant. You're going to get that check directly to you. Then we got the $65 check per child per month when you have to stay home from school because of the summer months. When you're in school, they're going to cover you for free nutrition. The big surprise came from this $12,500 credit. This is a back-end item. Normally, if you went to go out and buy a car today from a U.S. auto manufacturer and it's electric, you would get a $7,500 credit when you go to do your tax return. They're going to change that and grow it to $12,500. It's a lot. So this is a back-end check, and it's for U.S. union manufacturers. That is GM and Chrysler. To which one viewer said yesterday, but what about Chevy? I said, Chevy is GM. I am not the auto channel, but I could be. So there we go. Got that in there as well. Let's go to this third add-on. And the third add-on is the cheaper medication. Now, if you're a senior and you're on Medicare, this should be a massive win. A very nice viewer, I have to look at my notes again because I rushed on camera. I think her name was Kathy. Thank you, whoever you, I'll look at it again and feature it later today. Sent me a DM on Facebook. Earlier this morning, I said on Mornings I Like, can you please send me a DM how much you pay for insulin currently on Medicare? And I believe she said $625. So guess what? You're now going to be paying $35. There's a big difference between $625 or I think it was $625 or $35. What happened? If you look at this recon, the biggest win of this entire recon not covered in news. Why? A big win by Joseph Biden. He deserves the credit. The people who need to be fired is the White House press corps. They butchered the publicity of this. What happened? On a Wednesday night, the White House press corps wanted to talk about climate and overseas stuff. They should have talked about this. This was a 20 years in the making win, and who got it? Joe Biden. What did he do? Let's back up. Over the last 20 years, Medicare had his hands tied. Why? Because a charter agreement for Medicare said, whatever price that Big Pharma wants to charge you for medication, you have to pay. You can't negotiate anything. They want to charge you $1,000 for insulin, and then you're going to charge the senior $625. Tough luck. That's what you got to do. And for 20 years, each year of senators tried to change this. Couldn't. 15 big pharma lobbyists paying big sums of money to keep the legislation unchanged until Wednesday night, 2 weeks ago. Joe Biden's holdout was Kristen Sinema. He picked up the phone and he called her and he did whatever he could do and he got her to agree. After months of saying no, she agreed to cheaper prescription medication and she blessed the rest of the recon. Kristen Sinema is now blessing the rest of the recon head to toe. Nowhere did you see that because the White House wanted to talk about climate and Rome. Really bad air by the White House. This was a big win. So let's go over what this recon is, what this provision is. It is cheaper prescription medication. It'll start with about 20 medications and then it'll grow to about 28 medications by the year 2028. It is the most expensive medications. It's not the $10 medications. It's cancer. It's arthritis. It is diabetes. It is the things that trouble and plague seniors the most. And it is Medicare Part B. It is Medicare Part D. Now, the pharmaceutical companies will have to negotiate and cannot raise it after that more than the inflation rate, which is where they're going with most of these programs like FIS stimulus. That's great news. The reaction is just overwhelming, and it's just a start. Because Chuck Schumer says we're going to do this again next year and make it even better. Now they got their claws in, and they're going to make it better every year. Ron Wyden says for the first time, government will no longer have their hands tied. Chuck Schumer says Americans couldn't pay for their medicine. Now they can. $35 a dose for insulin. Great comments. Kristen Sinema praising the situation. Scott Peters from California saying it's really good for seniors. Jan Stachowski said that she's shocked they got this done with so many lobbyists fighting her and everyone else. And Ron Wyden saying it's a historic day. It really is a historic day. So in looking at the last week, when I said that the recon would go for a vote, be called for a vote by Nancy, well, she attempted to and she didn't get it done, or attempted to be called for a vote by Nancy, and they said that 3 provisions would go into the recon. They did. What did I not get right? I said the Senate parliamentarian was going to rule on 2 provisions this week. Not quite clear why she didn't rule. Maybe they didn't present it to her, or she's ruling next week. And what are those 2 provisions? They are paid leave, and they are the immigration issue of the recon. First, here go my predictions. Immigration reform, I think it's going out. The Senate parliamentarian initially ruled before that immigration reform can't go by recon. So I think it's going out. Then the paid leave, I don't know. 50% of legislators think it's going out. Others think they can survive. So we will see. Remember, the paid leave is $200 billion. If it goes out, that $200 billion gets reallocated to something else, potentially for us. All right, let's go over to then what steps up next. What steps up next is the Senate. And the Senate will receive this recon the minute it's passed in the House. And the minute it's passed in the House, we'll see if the senators send it into subcommittee. I believe they should. Bernie Sanders is chairman of the Budget Committee, and he determines how things go on in budgeting over the Senate. I think he should. Why? If you look at the comments from Bernie Sanders and Ron Wyden and senators all last week, they haven't really changed. They say there's big things missing from this recon, which is great for us. You look at this recon, and it pays you a lot of money across all these different clusters of checks. It pays you the same stuff that paid you tens of thousands of dollars on the third stimulus, then pays you new checks, some front end, some back end. Eligibility is the same that viewers got on the third stimulus. So if you did well on the third stimulus with this channel, you'll do well on the fourth stimulus. And then they can add stuff on top of that. It's unlikely they're going to remove stuff unless the parliamentarian removes it, like paid leave. Here are the comments. Bernie saying it's the best bill since the 1960s, but has major gaps. Those gaps that Bernie said are still there for him. When asked, are you going to add provisions to it? On the Senate side, of course I am. It's unconscionable that they don't have these provisions taken care of. Ron Wyden saying yes. It's a good bill, but listen here. There's a significant amount of work to do. Senator Chris Coons saying he's adding stuff in there. Chuck Schumer will have to make modifications of the Senate parliamentarian rules against him. And Senator Chris Murphy says they expect changes across the board. Everyone's expecting changes across the board. So get that pen, paper in hand again. Here we go. We're going to go over some of the provisions. Hard code cash or back end. Let's do the analysis. First, freeing universal preschool for 3 to 4 year olds. This is hard cold cash, 1 year. Then in-home healthcare for home services, yes, that is a covered benefit, not a check in your hand. Then $3,600 for the CTC, yes. The CTC, we're not quite sure what's going on with this. My notes show household 60,000 or less. What's a household? It's either a single parent or a married couple. The notes released by some legislators 150. So not quite sure what's going on. This is 1 year. The earned income tax credit, this is back end check. That's 1 year. The home health care, that's a covered benefit. The hearing care, the hearing aid, we don't know if this is a voucher, which is a check directly to your hand, or if it's a covered benefit they're going to run. Then we do know that the home repairs are hard cold cash checks. The rent, the utilities, the mortgage assistance, and now the home repairs, if you're in a low-income community, the weatherize your home, and the money for the purchase price of your first home. Hard cold cash check, $550 for college student, the Pell's grant, and then $65 per child when they're staying home from school per month for the food. There you go. So what check coming up next? When you look at this, there's a lot of checks anticipated from Bernie Sanders, and we already know what they are. Let's go over the analysis. First, the Medicare dropping the Medicare eligibility age still in play. I think Bernie Sanders is not going to let that sit away. Currently 65, he wants at 50. Bob Casey wants at 55. Bob Casey had that big win. Oh, Bob Casey wants at 60, I think. Bob Casey had that big win for home health care, so maybe he'll get this win as well. But the obvious one is the dental and the vision, both of which were in on the House side at one time and both removed, and they were last in on the House side as checks, hard cold cash to you. Let's go over the analysis. The dental was last in there as an $850 check directly to my Medicare, my seniors every year. $850, I was not very excited about the number. It covers cleaning, but not enough for big procedures. Bernie didn't like it. He wanted 10 years of full benefits. Then he went 3 years of full benefits. The president and people started bringing it down to $850 checks per year in your hand, vouchers, another way to say checks, and then it was gone. I think it's going to go in there. I don't think Bernie's going to let this sit and slide as the budget chairman of the Senate. The more obvious one, of course, is the vision. This is easy. Vision out. It's the cheapest of all the three. Bernie wants an eye exam and a pair of glasses per year. Pretty easy. Eye exam, $50 approximately. Eyeglasses, about $100 per year. $150 voucher in the mail per year. Very easy. Why would this not be in? I don't see the opposition, the logic of anything, opposition to vision. We don't see each other. Yeah, we don't see each other because you need glasses. It's just sort of obvious. It should go in there. Very, very simple across the board. Let's go over some of my notes and where things don't line up. And before we go into student loan debt forgiveness, I show the child tax credit $60,000. I don't show it $110,000. The in-home health care, it's huge. It's $100 to $200. It's great. The housing aid, $175. The health insurance will be a shorter program, and then the child care got in there as well. All right, let's go over student loan debt forgiveness, COLA, and then we'll go over my my commentary to end. COLA. Oh, let's go over student loan debt forgiveness. Here we go. Student loan debt forgiveness. More debt can be forgiven across the board. The president forgave 2 rounds already, 3 rounds, and should forgive the last. Well, in fact, he's offered it. The Democrats haven't taken it. What is it? The president offered $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness as executive order, not by RECON, executive order, across the board for everyone. The Democrats have not taken it. Foolish. They should take it and run. Not to say they can't ask for more next year. President forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled, people who went to work in the nonprofit sector, and then who went to work in the public sector 10 years after graduation. Fifth stimulus is heating up, and boy, is it ever. If you got to that letter from Social Security Administration is coming, and it says your benefits are going up next year 5.9%. But get ready for fifth stimulus, because it does 2 other lifts after that. Once fifth stimulus becomes law, it would lift your benefits up 1 time. Then, next December, you would have a new lift as well. That lift is inflation, and it's likely 2 to 3%. This week, Jerome Powell repeated my statement that he believes that December 2022's inflation rate will be somewhere around 2 to 3%, what I've been saying. So that would mean 1, 2, 3 lifts if fifth stimulus becomes law by December 2022. Huge. They're going to remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty as well. Finally, my commentary as we look forward to a big afternoon show coming up at 1 o'clock. It's very important to look at this RECON and say, wow, it's huge. If you've been with this channel since January this year, you've made money. You made good money. You've seen the comments, you've seen the messages, you've seen the graphics. $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 from here. For stimulus, it's the same money again. Instead of $47 billion for it, $175 billion for the housing section. And then other checks on top of that. A lot of front-end checks and some back-end checks. Eligibility, same thing as if you'd done it under third stimulus. Very, very exciting. But we can make it better. Absolutely, we can make it better. And Bernie can make it better. And Ron Wyden can. Senators over the next, after they get this RECON, are going to make changes to add things into a really good body of law and body of legislation and make it better. But what's important is the words that we often see on social media or floating in our communities that are like promised or predicted or guaranteed or said. Let's go back over this. A few days ago, someone sent me a message saying, I was promised $10,000 in hazard pay in 2020. Where's my check? I paused for a second. I didn't even understand what the person meant. And then I realized, oh, this is where a person saw a body of legislation and thought that was a promise to them. In 2020, the HEROES Act passed the House of Representatives, just like the RECON's about to pass. It had in there a provision for $10,000 of hazard pay, just like there's a lot of provisions in this House bill that's about to pass. It's not a promise. It's a body of legislation. Ultimately, we have to see what happens in the next step, which is the Senate. In 2020, the hazard pay provision in the HEROES Act all went over to the Senate. Mitch McConnell was in control. He threw it in the wastebasket, never called it for a vote. Not promise. It was just a body of legislation that got out of the House, went to the Senate, and the Republicans threw it away. There it is. So not the correct verb tense to say anything was promise. It was just an attempt to give that to the American people. Predicted. There's predictions for everything. There's predictions for this and the predictions for that. Ultimately, things change and twist and turn by the minute with the legislators. No grounds to really say the prediction was wrong, the prediction was right, because it's hard to predict things across the board. Finally, what they said. It's important to understand that you could look back at last night's events from Friday night and say, but they said that. Well, yeah, they said that because they wanted to do that for you. When Jalopal said, I'm not going to vote in favor of the roads and bridges until you call the vote on the RECON first, it's because that's what she wanted to do for you. She wanted to help you that way. It's not as though she was not telling you the truth. That's what she wanted to do. The problem was someone else didn't want to do that for you. And that other person were the moderate Democrats. So the progressives had to pivot because the moderate Democrats saying, I'm going to block your entire RECON from ever happening. You don't want that to happen. So she had to follow a solution. You have Casey, Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Wyden, all saying they want to give you a monthly IRS stimulus check. But that's what, 6 senators? It only takes one senator to say, no, I don't want to give it to you. And so if one senator doesn't want to give it to you, those 6 senators that do want to give it to you, their representation, they want to do it for you, is still there. It's just someone blocked them from doing it. Just like Mitch McConnell, who blocked Nancy Pelosi from giving you $10,000 of hazard pay in 2020. It's important that these are the situations that unfold when you have 2 bodies of Congress, House and Senate. They both have to do everything and they both have to agree. Here I am in Los Angeles. I'm reporting what they say. So if Jalopal says, I'm not voting in favor of the RECON, of the roads and bridges, if you don't call the RECON vote first, I'll report it. I'll read the quote on air. And if she pivots and changes because they don't want to do that, that's not because of what I did. It's because of what she did. It's not even because of what she did. It's because someone tried to block her. What I'm reporting is what they're saying. What I'm reporting is what they're doing. And if they don't do it, they don't do it. And if they don't do it, like Nancy Pelosi, she didn't say anything negative about your $10,000 of hazard pay. It was someone else. It was Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell couldn't give you the $10,000 hazard pay because he wanted to block the entire HEROES Act in 2020. So as we look to the Senate, as the House bill heads into the Senate, you got senators who want to do stuff for you. And if those senators have one person who blocks it and doesn't want to do that thing for you, It doesn't make those senators who want to do something for you not a good person. They wanted to do it for you. Someone didn't. And ultimately, my job is to report all the nuances and the twists and turns by the minute. And as soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get all these incredible sums of money, just like how we got on the third stimulus. If you have questions about any of the programs, remember, they're not law, but I love your questions. So send it to me on private message. What is this? Can you explain that? You went too fast on this section. Explain a little bit more. How does this work? What is this eligibility? I love those questions. That's what this channel's about, educating about all these programs so you can pounce as a purple hawk as soon as it becomes law. And with that, join me next on 1 o'clock Afternoons LA, which is coming up right after this video. The video will automatically take you there. Then we got the 3 o'clock Afternoons LA. It's a big show. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. A big extended slate of programming on a weekend because there is so much breaking news. Thank you for tuning in on extra programming this weekend. And like this video and consider becoming a member. Coming up next is the 1 o'clock afternoon show. This video will automatically take you there. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.